When you look at those duels, pretty close duels, you know, I thought about it and you think, okay, we could be 4-0 right now. We could also be 0-4 because how close those duels were. So, you know, that's how it happens, and comes down to a couple matches here and there. The Hayes duel, you know, Donnie got a pin for us there at 97s. It helped out, took a little pressure off of Gabe, you know, and didn't have to go out and do, you know, quite as much. But, you know, guys wrestled, I think, pretty decent. It was a heck of a road trip, you know, quick trip out, wrestle a couple duels, head home, you know, so a long haul. But, you know, I think each week we're looking at our shape and seeing how it's better, and you know, trying to work on the fine points. So I think we'll be all right. You know, we'll just keep working at it. So got Fred Green in the lineup. You know, he's 1-1. Kind of had a rough go first match there, but he'll be okay. If people recall what Fred did his first tournament last year and at the Wyoming Open, that would make more sense to kind of how he starts out. So he'll be all right.
Looking ahead, you had 2 national ranked opponents this last weekend, another one this Saturday now. It's moved from Thursday now to Saturday. What can you say about 10th ranked Adams?
You know, their lower weights are super tough. I mean, you look at the first 2 weights there, they're really tough. They've got Noah Hermosillo at 49s that's ranked as well. I think a couple-time national qualifier now, and that'll be a good match for Ryan Wheeler, who's just busting out of the gates here in the last week. So, you know, we're looking forward to seeing that matchup and kind of go from there. But, you know, Adams always brings a good, talented bunch. You know, I think we're stronger in our lower weights, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes this week. But then I think definitely our upper weights are very tough, and so I think they'll have their work cut out for them in the upper weights. So.
Questions?
Hey guys, what did you take from the first 2 duels into last weekend that you kind of worked on and kind of understood a little bit more? Because it's a little different from high school to this now.
Yeah. What we took last week was like the loss in general, just losing. I think it brought the fire to the team, just on like how workouts were going in the room, how stuff was like created in order to build up from last week. So we saw like a couple of our guys struggle in certain areas, or abundance of our guys struggled in certain areas, and then we try to like improve on those points, just to focus on what we did wrong during that week compared to this week's. I think the practices were a lot tougher, a lot more put together. Practices were very good, really good. I don't know, I think just all formality, just how we built that week going up to those two duels. We practiced a lot tougher. We were a lot more concentrated as a team. We went in there with like of a thought of we're trying to get better. We went in there with a thought of we need to figure out what we did this week, or 3 weeks ago, what was wrong, and to improve on those like areas, just those small areas. Just working on the small details, what we did wrong those 2 other duels.
I don't know, for our first 2 duels, I didn't get a few no's. That's going to start how to go home. But these last weekends, once again, first match I had a forfeit, so I didn't get to really compete in that. And then my second match, got in trouble for a throw, so that didn't go very long. But our team's looking really good, I think, especially compared to the first duels. I was watching back home. This weekend, just everybody looked a lot more aware of what's going on, a little more comfortable on the mat, opening up a little bit more for sure. And I think our practices, again, as we were saying, are so much better this week, or last week they were. And I just can't wait to see what we got this weekend.
So Gabe, as a big guy on the team, you're a lot smaller than a lot of guys you face, and you're younger too. I mean, a lot of the heavyweights, they've grown, and they've kind of grown into that as they get older. What are you doing to try to counteract some of the size difference that you run into? Or has that been an issue all your life?
I mean, in high school it wasn't really an issue just because of the weight class 220s, so there'd be guys my weight. But I think coming to college, it's like different, you know, like just getting thrown into the heavyweight like lineup. It was good. I mean, I was fitting the weight. I was heavy for 97, so just look at it and just build, try to get a little bigger. Weighing right now 230. We try to like use my hand fighting because I'm a very aggressive wrestler. When I wrestle, I try to hand fight a lot, tire bigger guys out usually. Just maybe the speed, just being a lot smaller, I can have more mobility on the mat. I have a bigger gas tank. Most of those bigger guys. Those bigger guys normally tend to tire out a lot quicker in the match, due to just having to move all that weight around. So just having a bigger tank, trying to build the tank in practice, getting those extra reps in. Sprints at the end of practice, I think those help a lot, blowing out the lungs. So building on my strengths, being a small guy to beat those bigger guys, just to beat the weight. Try not to get caught under a guy. I saw like the duels, I got stuck under the guy, got pinned. I mean, just not trying to get stuck under these guys. Trying to find alternate routes to get into the leg.
This might be an amateur hour question, but it's wrestling. But do you enjoy taking on that weight of kind of being the last guy? Obviously, we saw that in the first duels, but do you appreciate that?
When I see like I'm like the last guy, it's like stressful for sure. Just being a freshman, new guy in the lineup, try not to lose for the team. Just being new to the lineup, seeing that like I have to step up to that plate. Even though I'm coming in as a freshman, I gotta see the level that we're at and just wrestle to that level, and try not to let down the team or anything like that. But I normally just try to not think of it. I see that the team score is close, and like it's like coming down to the upper guys, and then I try not to think about it too much. Just jump around and get warmed up. Try not to look at the score and just go out there and just trust in what I've done, trust what practices given me, and like my team, just the support I get from them. Just believe in that stuff, and I'll take care of the rest.
Coach, you mentioned you guys could have been 4-0. Obviously, the first duels didn't go that way, but no coach is going to say they appreciate a loss. But do you think that added extra gasoline to those wins?
There's no doubt. I mean, if we squeak out those two duels, and we've talked about it as a coaching staff and mentioned it to these guys as well, as far as our team meetings and that, is it's going to make us better. You know, we've concentrated on some little things, and even if we'd have won those duels by one, the first two duels, you don't look at it as actually we didn't perform as well. You got a couple W's and squeaked them out, but I think we've gained a lot more now. The guys are more focused. Even some of the older guys on the team spoke up as leaders and like, hey, we got to work harder, and all those types of things. So a lot of leadership has came into play now with some of that they didn't like losing those that close, and how we lost those. And we always look at it. It's a team thing. Anything can happen. I mean, you can give up a bonus point right at the end that gives the other team a bonus. You can give up a pin. You can miss getting a bonus point as the offensive wrestler. So every point counts, whether it's taken away or whether it's you're getting that point. So, I think a lot of those things that we've talked about, and these guys are, doing a good job of it. And I think it's made us better as a team. And we've kind of always tended to be that way a little bit, that early on in the year we haven't, been right there, and we kind of come on at the end as kind of our MO, and like last year we had some guys ranked 5th and 6th in the regional, and that wind up being in the top 3 national qualifiers. So that's kind of always been how we are. We don't start out super tough in the gates, but we feel like we climax to the top, and then as the year goes along we get stronger, and that's kind of where we're going right now, and hopefully it pays off, especially in a year like this where I think what we actually have five matches left before whatever type of qualifier or regional we have before the national tournament. So hopefully we're ready.
Last week, Fred kind of mentioned mental toughness. That's especially important in wrestling, obviously in all sports. But mentioning the 4-0 or 0-4, how does that kind of affect the mental going into these next couple of days, knowing you could be riding that high or riding?
Well, and I haven't really mentioned it to them. That was probably more of my thought. I think, today's our first day back. We gave them off yesterday, so we'll probably mention something like that. I don't even know if the guys actually even really thought about it that way. I know I did. I think it was confidence for us to go out and win those couple duels, get some guys some time. Ryan and Fred both had their first matches of the year, and I think that, just getting more guys more experience. Both these guys are true freshmen, and they're gonna be seeing a lot more of these media days. So I think they're one of the reasons why we brought them in. They're going to be some good ones for us, and you'll hear a lot about these couple guys in the years to come. CMU wrestling.
Ryan, for you, what's the biggest difference between wrestling in high school? You wrestled at a super high level in high school. Come in and really didn't miss a beat. When you talk to coach, says all your challenge matches, you're in every challenge match, you win almost all of them, if not all of them. What's the biggest difference for you? That not really skipping a beat between high school and college, and stepping right into the lineup.
It's definitely a lot higher pace for sure. I think that was my first thing, kind of getting adjusted to first couple days, weeks, getting into the room. Those guys don't give a point easy. None of them do. But I don't know. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling fast. The technique feels there. I don't know. I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned Adam State's lighter weights are obviously strong. Kind of made me think about the 133 weight class and kind of what you guys have going on there with the success, Dylan Keeney and everything else that he had during tournament season. Can you talk a little bit about the log jam that's kind of coming up because there's no tournaments this year?
Well, probably the biggest thing is with Colin Metzger and Dylan Keeney, both quality guys, both in their fourth year. They're both 1-1 in the room, and both of them, I think Dylan's 4-0, and I think Colin is 3-1. So they're both wrestling super well. And the problem with that, you don't have any common opponents. In fact, zero, because we haven't had a lot of wrestling. So I think it'll probably come down to the room, who's going to be better in the room, and go from there. There's a few other things to look at on how they're going to select the national tournament qualifiers. If it's going to be an actual qualifier, is it going to be an at-large bid for certain guys in that? We just don't know how that's going to all play out. So that'll kind of determine our decision there and who we think is the best guy. But realistically, it may just come down to those two guys in the room. And they're both coming up against one of the top guys in the country, whoever we put out there this week with Jonathan Andretti from, I think he's ranked number 2 or 3 in the country. So we'll see how it goes.
Does that make the extra matches more important or not really?
Oh, I think anytime, even both those guys, we split their time last week at Fort Hays. One wrestled one duel, and then the other one wrestled the other duel. And then they both wrestled in some extra matches. I think any of that you get right now is a bonus for those guys. Even our young guys, that we're hauling some guys clear out there, and they get one match, some of our younger guys. But I think it's super important for these guys to get these matches. And, where a normal year, some guys are 20 matches in right now. We're at 4 and 5. But we're fortunate because we were even able to wrestle before Christmas, and a lot of teams weren't. So we feel good about that. But, anything we can do, help these guys out, create that team atmosphere of traveling with the team and doing all that was huge this last weekend.
Okay, question of the week. This is kind of a different for the sport.
Hey, guys, got to do this. Got to be ready.
And they're hard.
It's hard.
Favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie?
Yeah.
Vision Quest.
That's hard. That's why I said what I said.
Oh, I know it. Oh,
What do you got?
what's the name of it?
Gabe, what do you
I'm
got?
drawing a blank.
Sport movie?
Yep. Favorite sports movie?
Probably Never Back Down. It's MMA.
Never seen it, so I wouldn't know. What's yours?
I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of it. It's a
Football movie or
it's
what?
an old boxing movie. Oh God.
Old boxing movie.
I'm totally drawing a blank.
Your time and I, Patty. It's even older than us, even.
Bear.
Raging Bull?
Raging Bull? No, not that far back, huh?
Rocky?
No.
Ali?